Hey there, just a heads up, this episode of the Judo Science Podcast was created with help from AI. Some of the voices you'll hear are synthetic, but the ideas come from real research and real judo.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're zeroing in on something small that makes a huge difference. We're talking about what determines victory or defeat in grappling. We are dedicating this entire deep dive to Kumi Kata, the science of the grip, the struggle, and the full body fatigue that comes from that fight in judo. We got a great stack of sources here. We're talking biomechanical research, real-world competition data, and they all treat the judo grip not just as, a hand thing,
right,
but as the absolute center of a whole body kinetic system. So our mission today is to show you exactly how fast your strength just disappears during a tournament.
and why your legs get tired even when you're thinking about your hands.
Exactly. And most importantly, what the champions are doing differently when that grip fight really hits the breaking point.
It's such a critical area. I mean, philosophically, judo is all about using an opponent's strength against them, right? But that whole idea, every single throw, every opportunity, it all hinges on the grip.
You lose the grip, you lose everything.
You lose the opportunity. Simple as that. And we've got some fascinating research here that analyzes this exact connection with some pretty advanced mechanical modeling and hard tournament data.
Okay, let's unpack that core concept first.
Yeah.
Kumi Kata. It's defined as grip fighting, which sounds simple, but it's this dynamic, sometimes brutal fight to get your grip while stopping them from getting theirs.
Right.
The research is clear. Without the right grip, you just can't attack effectively. It's the absolute starting point for everything.
And this is where we have to look past just, the burning sensation in your forearms. A good grip. You have to see it as a whole body concept.
A whole body concept.
Yes, your upper body is engaged, of course, but the force itself is generated and sustained through your trunk, your legs, even your feet. I mean, if you look at the local mechanics, there are 35 different muscles involved in just moving the forearm and hand.
35?
35. Your grip strength comes from the flexors, and the extensors are there to stabilize the wrist so it doesn't just collapse when you pull. The hand is contact. It's built for flexion. It's a grasping tool.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But here is where it gets, for me, really interesting. The physics of gripping the actual judogi. Our sources break down the main grips. The cylindrical grip, which is your standard sleeve and lapel hold. The round power grip, which you see more in like the Russian style. And then the lifting power grip for grabbing the belt, the obi.
Right. All different tools for different jobs.
But here's the surprising nugget from the research. A study looked at the maximum grip force you could apply to the sleeve material. And it found that the max force is achieved with the minimum cylinder diameter.
Okay, let's break that down. What does that mean for you on the mat?
It means the strongest grip comes from grabbing less material.
Exactly. Most people instinctively grab this huge handful because it feels more secure.
Right, you want more fabric.
But the science says grabbing a tighter, smaller piece of maybe just one layer of the collar, gives you better leverage. You're not wasting energy just crushing fabric. You're getting direct contact to apply that force. It's a huge insight into efficiency.
It totally reframes what a strong grip even is. It's not about volume, it's leverage. So let's talk strategy. We hear the term Kihon Kumi Kata. Is that just competition grip fighting?
Not quite. Kihon is more about the fundamental grips, the classic right hand on the left collar, left hand on the right sleeve. In a club setting, it's about relaxation, about practice.
But in a competition?
It's a whole different ballgame. In a match, those arms become incredibly active. They serve 4 roles at once. They're active, transferring the throwing impulse. They're passive, stopping the opponent's momentum.
And the other two?
They're advising and alert. Advising means they're getting general information like balance and direction. Alert means they're picking up on immediate threats, a twitch, a shift in weight before an attack.
I love that idea. The arms as high-speed information conduits, not just hooks.
Precisely. And if you zoom out even further, the advanced mechanics view the entire contest as a classic two-body problem in a central field.
Okay, hang on. What does that mean in simple terms for a judoka?
Think of it like 2 planets with gravity pulling on each other. The modeling shows the centers of mass of the 2 fighters often follow these closed, sort of circular orbits. It's called bounded motion.
So what's the takeaway from that dense term?
It means the whole fight is a predictable system of tension and counter-tension, and it's all driven by the grip. Your opponent is never still. They're always in an orbit relative to you.
Ah, so the grip lets you control that orbit.
The grip lets you dictate the trajectory of that orbit. You force their center of mass into an unstable position, and that's when you can throw. If you lose the grip, the system breaks. They escape your control.
It's incredible, using grips to manage a Newtonian field problem. But that perfect theory just slams into the wall of reality at a tournament. You're facing tough matches, one after another, with maybe 10, 15 minutes of rest in between. So the question is, how fast does the cost of maintaining that system lead to a total breakdown?
Well, the studies that tracked athletes during actual tournaments give a pretty sobering answer. Hand grip strength is, without a doubt, a determinant factor for performance.
And it drops.
It drops significantly, a measurable drop in maximal isometric hand grip strength in both hands over the course of the day.
So when does that cliff happen? Is it a slow burn?
It's really not. The strength decreased significantly starting from the third match onward. When you compare their strength after match 3 to their baseline before the tournament, it's a huge difference.
Not huge. Do we have numbers?
We do. In the official competition data, after that third match, there was a 12% drop in the dominant hand and about a 7.8% drop in the non-dominant hand. Match 3 is the moment when fatigue really starts to cost you.
12% loss in your main grip is. That's massive. You're giving up a big chunk of your ability to attack or defend. But hold on. If strength only drops that much after match 3, why do athletes feel wiped out so much earlier?
That brings us to RPE, the rate of perceived exertion.
Right, the Borg scale.
Yeah.
How hard you feel like you're working.
Exactly. It measures the metabolic and neuromuscular fatigue signals, and the RPE data showed that the values shot up right from the very first match.
From match 1.
And they stayed high. Athletes consistently rated the effort as somewhat hard, which is around a 13 or 14 on that scale. So the perception of effort builds up way faster than the total failure of your maximum strength.
Your body is basically screaming at you to stop long before your actual strength.
Before it actually gives out, the perception comes first. Your body knows what's coming.
So where are the athletes feeling this the most?
Exactly where you'd expect, the forearms and fingers. The data is overwhelming. For the non-medalist group, something like 94% of them cited the forearms and fingers as the areas of greatest effort.
It makes sense. It directly correlates with the time spent gripping the judogi.
It does. But what's interesting is that the medalists, they also cited other areas, specifically their abdomen and their shins.
The core and legs.
Which suggests that while everyone's hands are on fire, the top athletes are more effectively engaging their entire kinetic chain for those dynamic throws, spreading the load.
So we've established the local cost. The hand strength is just getting torched. But that effort isn't in a vacuum. It costs the whole body.
Right.
Which is so critical since judo is all about explosive power from the lower body. So let's look at the simulated contest data. 5 matches, 15 minutes rest. What was the total systemic cost?
Well, the study's hypothesis was basically that judo just wrecks both upper and lower limb strength.
Yeah.
And it was confirmed. Big time. The fatigue degrades strength across the board.
What about upper body dynamic strength? The kind of power you need to, snap someone into a throw.
So they measured that with the bench press exercise. Over the 5 bouts, the decreases were significant. Mean propulsive velocity, the speed you start the move with, dropped by over 12%. Maximum power fell over 10%.
So you're just slower and weaker by the end of the day.
Your technique might be perfect, but you just don't have the velocity to execute it anymore.
That's bad, but the numbers on the lower body in the source material are. They're really shocking. What happened to the legs?
This might be the most important finding. They measured the counter movement jump, the CMJ, which is the gold standard for lower limb power. The explosive drive you need for a big throw like Uchimata.
And what was the practical takeaway?
The jump capacity decreased by a staggering 12.74% after the 5th bout.
Wow.
Think about that. You've lost nearly 13% of your ability to explode off the mat. And the reason is that all of judo's actions, even the grip fighting, impose this constant high mechanical load on the legs. All that braking and accelerating.
So even though you're focused on your hands, your legs are paying a huge price.
A huge price.
Okay, so looking at all this data, huge decline everywhere, especially that devastating leg power loss. What does this tell us about those short recovery breaks in a tournament?
It confirms pretty definitively that 15 minutes of just sitting there is absolutely not enough time to recover 100%, not even close.
So you start every new match already in the hole.
You start every subsequent match in a state of cumulative systemic fatigue. And at that point, this physiological deficit, not your technical skill, can become the main thing that decides if you win or lose.
So if everyone is facing this massive fatigue, what separates the medalists from everyone else? The sources had some really good comparative data on this.
They did. And while both groups lost strength and felt the effort, there was a key difference in the magnitude of that perceived effort, especially after that critical third match.
Okay, so translate that for us. What does that feel like?
For the non-medalists, the RPE increase showed what's called a very large effect. Basically, the fatigue felt overwhelming. It just snowballed from match to match.
And for the medalists?
For the medalists, the RPE increase was still high, but it only showed a large effect. That may not sound like a huge difference, but that gap in perceived effort, that's the competitive edge.
So the winner isn't necessarily stronger at the end of the day. They're just feeling the effort less intensely.
That's a great way to put it. It suggests that medalists either have better recovery or, more likely, they have better technical efficiency. They're gripping smarter, not just harder. They manage that accumulation of effort so they have something left in the tank for matches 4 and 5.
Which makes the training strategies that come out of this research absolutely vital. If fatigue is a given, you have to train for it. So what are the most actionable recommendations for building that forearm endurance?
The goal is to condition the forearms to just withstand that prolonged intensity. The sources recommend specific circuits. For example, a 1-minute wrist roller cranking a weight up and down with your wrists, followed immediately by a 1-minute dead hang.
Oh, that sounds brutal.
It is. Repeat that for 2 rounds. It forces lactate into the forearms and then makes you hold on under massive fatigue.
What's another option?
The farmer's walk circuit is also great. 30 seconds of a normal farmer's walk, then immediately into 30 seconds of a pinch grip farmer's walk holding the weight plates by their edge, and then a 30-second dead hang. Repeat for 3 rounds. You train crushing, pinching, and holding.
And for something more sport-specific,
You have to simulate that match 3 exhaustion. 2 minutes of nonstop intense grip fighting. But here's the key. You rotate in a fresh, high-energy partner every 30 seconds.
so you're always fighting someone who's fresh.
It simulates the shock of a tournament, forcing you to use your technique even when you're completely gassed.
The materials also mention some specialized equipment people could use.
Yes. First, use fat grips, those thick rubber wraps for barbells. They increase the diameter and force way more muscle recruitment in your forearms.
And the last one.
The Grip Master. It's great for individual finger strength, which is so important since the fingers were cited as the primary source of that perceived exertion.
So to sum up the training.
Your program has to be specific.
So let's connect all these dots for you, the listener. This deep dive confirms it. Kumi Kata isn't a small part of the game. It is the entire battlefield. The science shows your grip strength gets depleted fast, especially after match 3. And that fatigue isn't just in your hands, it hits your dynamic upper body power and, crucially, cuts your lower body explosive power by nearly 13%.
And the difference maker, the edge, is in pacing and efficiency. The champions manage their effort so they perceive less of that accumulated fatigue. It lets them use what little power they have left more effectively.
Which leads to a final provocative thought.
It does. It raises this important question for sports science. Given this huge strength loss, we need to research effective active recovery methods, not just sitting down for 15 minutes.
What would that look like?
Could low-load, specific judo movements during that rest period actually help athletes reverse the fatigue curve? Could it help them start match 4 closer to their baseline? That's the next frontier for competitive judo.
A fascinating challenge. For you, the takeaway is to integrate these insights. Focus on those high-intensity grip circuits. It's your shortcut to maintaining power and finding that edge. That's all for this deep dive.
Next time on the Judo Science Podcast, episode 28, Heart of a Judoka, Physiological Adaptations in Elite Athletes,